What's up? We're live.
Oh, here we are.
Oh, snap. All right, let me get the Streamlabs.
So Streamlabs like a substitute for OBS, is that what that is?
Streamlabs is a platform where people can contribute, and it's using it uses PayPal.
Oh, okay.
So they can do a super chat using PayPal, so you get the money within a day. But hello, everybody.
And you cut Google out of the scenario.
You cut Google out of the scenario.
How about that?
So let me go. Hello, everybody. Let us know you can see and hear us. You got to use Google Chrome, though, to use the computer. So this is... I just got to have multiple windows open when I do this.
Oh, okay. Do you always go straight to the thing or whatever?
What do you mean?
Like, do you go... Yeah, like this is what I'm saying. That's how I do it for Get Your News On with Ron.
Yeah. And then but you have to, for whatever reason, to use the camera right from my laptop, I have to use Google Chrome.
Oh, okay. There's 9 people going, this is the most fucking interesting thing we've ever.
Greetings.
What a start.
This is This is a high octane.
What's up, everybody?
High octane live stream. Guys, if you want to ask questions, you go to streamlabs.com, and that's a great way to support the show. And then, of course, you can do the regular super chat here. Can you ever make sure everyone can see and hear us all right?
We're on the road. As a lot of you probably already know, we just had an amazing, amazing night in Sacramento. We're still here. We're still hanging out. We're going to leave for San Francisco in a bit. Can't wait to see you, San Francisco. I've never had a bad time in San Francisco.
Oh, how can you have a bad time in San Francisco?
It's pretty hard to do.
You got to go out of your way to have a bad time in San Francisco. You got to be like, I'm going to wake up today and fuck this up.
You know what? I figured it out. The only way you can have a bad day in San Francisco is if you wake up, you pay rent, and that's it. That's all you do in San Francisco. You're just like, what is it here? Okay, shit. And then that's all you get to do. Then you could have a bad day in San Francisco. It's expensive up there.
It is.
But a lovely city. I'm excited. And if anyone's going to be at the show tonight, can't wait to see you.
Yes.
We can't wait to see you. People are saying we're a little bit fuzzy, and that's we're kind of set up here.
Yeah,
we're in a hotel.
We're in a. This is a beautiful 4 points. You can see on there. I did not make my bed this morning. I look like an animal. So yeah, this is the best it's going to be. Sorry, I'm spitting stuff up.
We just had breakfast, and we had a late night.
We did have a late
Thanks
night.
For everybody for hanging out last night after the show. That was a blast.
Yeah, we had fun. Well, so Peter Douche did. Let's talk about the show a little bit. Is David Kapoor, Graham Placone, right on? You guys are awesome. Yeah, so the show last night was really awesome. We had Peter Douche on.
Yes, the Twitter sensation, Peter Douche, at Silly Rabbit. If you don't follow him, please do. He is one of my favorite Twitter accounts ever. Yeah. I love that guy on Twitter.
And it was a blast. It was sold out. So David Hildebrand was there.
David Hildebrand was there. It was awesome to see him, catch up with him.
Malcolm Fleischner from TYT was there.
Yep, Malcolm came. Yeah,
which was great because he lives up in this part of the world.
I thought he was coming to San Francisco, but then I saw him walk in, and he's like, "Yeah, man, I gotta go to LA tomorrow, so I'm here now." Malcolm's always a fun time.
And then Movement for a People's Party. They were at the show handing out stuff and signing people up. They'll be at the show tonight in San Francisco as well.
Yes, they will. Carol from Movement for a People's Party will be there. And there was a little confusion at the door because I for some reason I didn't get the information for Sacramento, only San Francisco from Nick and the MPP crew. But it was no problem once they were there. I was like, all right, come on in, and yeah. So hello, Dublin.
Ireland. Right
I was just in your city, and I had an amazing time. Shout out to Dublin.
Yeah.
And we want to go back. Actually, we want to go back because I was telling Graham how much fun I had over there, and he's like, "We got to do a progressive comedy tour over there." And I said, yes, we do.
Yeah.
And that's the booking process. If you want to peek under the hood, we go, you know where it'd be cool to go besides everywhere? This place in particular right now. Let's focus. And that's how we route ourselves.
I was like, dude, I've done tours through China and Japan, so we could do one over there.
Yeah. And I was like, yeah, that sounds like something. I've never been to either of those places, and I want to go. And yeah, we're both very vagabond-y, love to see the world type comics. And most comics are kind of that way. Some aren't. But both of us are, so that makes organizing a tour together convenient.
Well, one of the things in this 5.5, 6 hour drive we had up yesterday, we just were talking about all the places we want to go. So we've got Florida, obviously, in January.
See you in January, Florida. Get your tickets now, by the way.
Yep,
tickets are available.
RonPlacone.com or GrahamElwood.com. Also, we're working on Hawaii, probably the second week of February. Hope there'll definitely be shows on Oahu, and we're working on Maui and maybe even the Big Island. I'm working with a promoter there that I've worked for in the past. And then I'll be headlining a bunch of zanies in Chicago the end of February, which will be cool. I'll get those dates for you as soon as they give me tickets.
Tell the winter I say hello.
I'm going to be in Chicago for 10 days in February. And then we're doing March 13th. We have New Orleans.
Yes.
And we're trying to now tie other shows around there, like Pensacola. We're looking at maybe Birmingham, Baton Rouge. So whatever.
So if you're in the area, hit us up. Where do you want to see us?
Yeah, and if you know of a good venue in any of those areas.
Yeah, hit us up. Where do you want to see us? If you're in that area, the Panhandle type area, New Orleans, hit us up.
Mississippi.
And then April, we're thinking about Texas. Now, I'm going to be in Austin next week, which, by the way, tickets are still available for my November 10th show in Austin, Texas. But Graham and I want to do an actual progressive comedy tour in Texas in April. So where do you want to see us? We're thinking about Dallas. We're thinking about Houston. We're thinking about coming back to Austin. Hopefully, Austin, folks, it's not too soon to see me again in 6 months, but Graham will be there. So just focus on his set if you see me.
And there's Taj Marie's ready. Would you do a show in the Research Triangle rally during?
Oh, I love that area.
I love that area.
I love that area so much. We were just in Asheville. That was our only North Carolina stop. But next time we do the Southeast, that is on the list. We entertain this idea. I don't know if we'll be able to materialize it or not. I hope we can, but it might be kind of hard to execute since we are based in Los Angeles, of doing a Southeast college town tour. Remember we talked about that? We thought it sounded like such a cool idea. So we were thinking we would do Chapel Hill, Columbia, Athens, Georgia. We talked about Gainesville, although we're doing Gainesville in January. We already have a Gainesville date, so I guess we probably wouldn't do Gainesville. Again, we would pick a different, like maybe Boone or something. I think that'd be such a fun run to do. Yeah. Whether it be easily executable on our end, it is tough to say at this point, but that is something we're entertaining, like doing some kind of like offbeat Southeast towns. Knoxville, Chattanooga. We're gonna go get the best internet. Let's do this in fucking Chattanooga.
Yeah, we won't be all great.
And then the next day we'll be like, why we need to buy a house here? Why do we not I've thought of, because it's not smart to invest in coastal property, Graham. You know, global warming is very real. Climate change is very real. I actually texted my science. I have one of my best friends in the whole wide world is a very brilliant scientist. And I texted him and I was like, hey, are we really as fucked as they say? Please give me some news. And he's like, we'll be more specific. And I was like, climate change, are we all going to be done? And, you know, again, he's been a friend for years and years and years. So his response was, are you pregnant? And I said, well, I had a scare, but it was just indigestion. But no, I just kind of think the planet's cool. And I want to spend more time on it. And he said, look, start saving seeds. Don't invest in coastal property. That's what a science guy said, a legit one. One that I know is not being paid by the fossil fuel industry because he's my buddy. He's in academia.
Wow.
So, no. So, dude, maybe everything that happened to you was maybe for the best in the long run. I mean, seriously. Like,
I mean,
Graham lost his place, but it was coastal property. Maybe.
Maybe I need to move inland because there are going to be surf breaks in San Bernardino in about 40 years.
Yeah, well, I'm in Pasadena, and I'm like, dude, this is going to be. I mean, you say it's not too happening now. Wait until it's coastal property. Wait, wait for
Lex Luthor in the original Superman movie. Well, the other thing too, yeah, we're talking about the East Coast. We want to do what we want to do a train tour on the East Coast, like we'll do New York, DC, Philly, Boston, Baltimore, the whole dance.
Baltimore. Maybe something cool like we talked about, maybe even Provincetown, Massachusetts.
Nebraska, Rhombus Isotope. Yeah, I'll hit that.
My head looks so big. I'm moving back a little bit.
My head looks really big.
Yeah, like why is it different for me?
Why is my head so big? Look at the size of it.
The theme of this stream is two dudes using Skype for the first time. That's the theme we're going for. That doesn't apply to either one of us. That's just like what we're just going like, how's school, young man?
Oh, do you have the yellow pages where you live? Don't forget, guys, go to the Streamlabs. I put it streamlabs.com/Grandmel. It's a great way to support the show. And then, of course, you know, you can do the super chat button here. Two dudes, one Skype.
Yes. Oh, dude, that wins. That's the theme. Rhombus Isotope. Brilliant. Alex, Minneapolis, we are for sure coming. We talked about Minneapolis, and so we've both been acclimatized by Southern California. So we plan our tour strategically. Like you heard, January, Florida, February, Hawaii, March, New Orleans. It's not coincidence, folks. April, Texas. And then come May, we're talking about maybe like Idaho, Utah, do like a run out there. And then we're kind of East Coast is going to be summer. Midwest is going to be summer. So Minneapolis, we're thinking about maybe August. We talked about.
Yeah, we talked about, and we're trying to do like the upper Midwest, sort of Chicago, maybe Milwaukee, Madison, Minneapolis kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, we may even hit the Dakotas, maybe get some Fargo in there.
We're probably going to do 2 Midwest runs, one lower, one upper, and Chicago will probably be the starting point one way or the other. It'll either be Chicago and South or Chicago and North, but, you know, Chicago, Minneapolis, those are going to be 2 runs. And, you know, we're thinking Madison, Wisconsin, maybe Eau Claire, Wisconsin, maybe Milwaukee. But Minneapolis for sure. You know, I'm a big hold steady guy. One of my favorite cities. Washington State, of course. Seattle, we're coming. Portland, we're coming. Eugene, we're coming. And we talked about doing maybe like another kind of fun town too, like maybe a Bellingham or maybe even a Vancouver, British Columbia. You know, I used to live in Seattle, so that's one of my favorite regions anywhere. I love it up there. So we are for sure coming. We talked about maybe October for that.
Balthazar 228 Denver. Yeah, we're talking about a Colorado run too.
Yes, Colorado.
We could do Denver. We could do Colorado Springs. We could do Boulder.
Fort Collins.
They
got a fun scene up in Fort Collins. And I was in Colorado about a year ago. I had a blast on some shows there. So yeah, we got to come back with this.
Polish Hammer. Yeah, dude. Shave your knuckles, bro. That's the thing I started doing. I don't know why.
You shave your knuckles?
No, I should. That's why when I get them close to the camera, you see how much I should shave them. So I'm telling people they should shave their knuckles. A word of warning: there are Canadians in Vancouver. What?
Yeah, and
did that just happen?
Healthcare.
Hockey and healthcare and low handgun.
That's what I always say about the Canada, man. They got the double H that I really dig: hockey and healthcare. You can get volume at a bar if you want to watch a hockey game, and you can go to the doctor if you're sick. Those are 2 of the perks they got up there.
That's great.
Tell you what.
Well, do you guys have any? So those are all the stuff we want to do with the tour. We're going to try to, you know, we can't hit everywhere, but we're going to try to do as much as we can. So, Agent Tail Chomsky, I'm a Canadian in Vancouver. All right. Well, as we get more dates, we'll announce them. But what other?
I love your city. I mean, Vancouver's one. Have you been? You've been.
Yeah, man. I love Vancouver.
That's one of my favorite cities in the world. I mean, everything you could want. If you want coast, you got it. If you want mountains, you got it. You have some of the most beautiful rainforest in the world that you can just hike whenever. There's like, you feel like you're in a painting, and you got an amazing city. I mean, it's just. Well,
listen, I want to go by Rhombus Isotope. Coming to Oz to see the GBO, or they're still living bits. The Great Barrier Reef. Yeah, we were talking about Australia because I've done comedy shows down there. I know I could get us set up in Adelaide and Melbourne, and probably we could find venues in Sydney and maybe go up to Brisbane and maybe even out to Perth. So, yeah, man, I'd love to. And we're trying to talk Jimmy and Dora into going to some of these venues.
Yeah. Well, we kind of ran it by them where it's like, man, what if we're trying to do a stand-up run in Hawaii? What if a live Jimmy Dore show was part of all that too? And, you know, him and Tulsi Gabbard.
Oh, my goal is to surf with Tulsi Gabbard.
Imagine a panel with Tulsi Gabbard on it for a live Jimmy Dore show.
That'd be ridiculous.
That'd be pretty amazing.
In Honolulu somewhere, that would be ridiculous. We'd have 1,000 people there.
Yeah, it'd be amazing. So, you know, this is all just us, you know, speculating, wishful thinking stuff. So don't. But yeah.
Graham, don't forget you were going to talk to Ron about Streamlabs. Yeah. I'm talking to him about it now. So guys, go to streamlabs.com. I was just showing Ron the platform here and how it's he should use it for Get Your News On with Ron. So here, if I'm showing Ron the dashboard there, somebody.
Okay.
All right. So ask your Graham. Thank you for Shave Your Knuckles for giving $3 in. Ron, have you asked your Graham Elwood how Streamlabs might be right for you? If Bernie ran in a three-way in 2016 and Clinton G of third, would they still
got third?
Still got third. Would they still accuse Bernie Jill of spoiling? Oh, I see. Ron, what do you think of that question? Thank you for supporting the show, by the way. So, what do you think of that question?
Yeah, probably. I mean, if you beat Hillary Clinton, you're certainly spoiling it for her. I mean, that's, you know, it's her turn.
Right.
That's what
she will be the first female president, regardless of the laws and the Constitution and ethics.
I don't think she's actually going to run in 20. I mean, I know like there was that kind of like piece of soundbite, and we talked about it over on Aggressive Progressive because it's such an alarming idea that it's just like you can't help but be like, oh no, please, 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 because you're guaranteeing us 8 years of Trump. Like you're just guaranteeing it. So it's like, why? And I even said it on the show, like for diplomatic sake, look, I know on the left we have our disagreements right now. I know that we see some things differently right now, but we all know Trump is terrible. So can we at least all agree, let's not run the candidate that for sure guarantees he'll win again?
Right.
Why can we just agree on that? Like,
there is nothing better for the Republican Party than the Clintons running.
Yeah.
Any Clinton, anything. It's like when Pelosi they kept her as the chair or whatever. The Republicans were doing backflips.
Yeah.
They were doing backflips. So it's awful. But to go to your question here specifically about 2016, yeah, if Bernie and Jill Stein, if he would have ran as an independent and he came in second, they would have absolutely blamed him and Hillary, even if she came in third, I mean, look, they have no qualms about blaming anybody for anything. So they blame. That's all they do is blame people. I mean, that's all they do. So.
That's an interesting question, though, where it's like, even if he beat her, which, I mean, I think he would have, you know, would they still like blame? But it's like, yeah, they would.
Of course they would.
They would, because they would say like, oh, he was promising people a pony, and then Russia hypnotized people into thinking single payer is a good thing.
Right.
Derp, 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 derp. Oh, and for some of the folks that asked, my show will be back on Monday, as always.
Nice.
With the Music Monday, Get Your News On with Ron.
PS Xbox Gamer, thank you for joining. One for donating an English pound. So I don't know, I might have to shave my knuckles in a different way because it's a different currency. But thank you for supporting the show.
And where are you based? Because we're coming.
Yeah, man.
Where are you at? We are freaking coming. I was gushing about my trip to Graham for probably 2 hours in the car.
He's gonna move there. Like, Ron is done.
I have the biggest crush on Manchester. I describe, when I fall in love with the city, I do describe it as a crush, and I have the biggest crush on Manchester right now.
I haven't been to the UK in probably God, it's been over 10 years, maybe 15.
So we got to change that.
We got to go. I want to go back there.
We gotta go.
And I want to see more, but I want to go up to Ireland because I am of Irish descent.
Yeah.
My great grandparents came over on the boat. Man, they were off the boat Irish, and so I want to go there for sure, and I want to go.
And the Immigration Museum is incredible. It is so. I mean, I made the joke the hurling exhibit was smaller than I would have liked.
That blew me away that the hurling exhibit wasn't bigger. It blew me away. I was like, no way. You got to be. Like, I thought it would be as big as the California Science Museum that has the space shuttle in it. You know what I mean?
I thought about being the third person in the history of humanity to complain about it. Being like, you know what? I feel like it's a native game. Why isn't the hurling exhibit bigger? And they'd be like, "Are you Irish, sir?" And I'd be like, "Nope, nope. I know I might be able to pass."
You said that
no.
to me at TYT. You're like, "Man, you said that it was so sincere." You were like, "Man, the museum wasn't even that big." I was like, "Ron, no, really, the hurling museum."
Well, the hurling is the overall immigration museum. It seriously is incredible. Sure. The way they and if you are, I actually do not have any Irish descent, despite the ginger appearance. But
so you don't have any Irish in you.
No.
Do you want some? GrahamElwood.com, everybody. It's high-octane jokes like that you're going to see tonight in San Francisco.
But, and P.S. X-Bomb, I'm from Manchester. We're coming then.
Dude, we're coming to Manchester.
We are for sure. I fell in love with your town. I had so much fun in Manchester.
Can we...
and there's a great promoter out there that...
I love high tea. I'm sorry to interrupt. I love English high tea.
Yeah.
So we're going to do that.
No, I fell in love with it. I mean, I've been ordering tea more in the States now because it's so convenient to just...
It's so refined.
Like, I'm like, why were they keeping this from us? This is so much better. Like,
it's
why?
The fucking coffee lobby.
I still love my coffee. Like I do. I still need, I need that initial coffee jolt, but then the rest of the day, just nice tea, man. It's so... Man, you and ZT.com, and then just going over there. I'm like, why do I not? Tea needs to be more part of my life.
Big shout out to Anthony Maldonado. Thank you so much for supporting the show. You don't even have a question, but you just supported. That's so great.
Thank you, Anthony.
Really appreciate that, guys. All you got to do is either hit the $ super chat, and I'll answer whatever question, or you can just support that way. Or you can go to the Streamlabs one, which is really rad. Or, of course, there's patreon.com/GrahamElwood. So those are fantastic ways to support the show.
But anyway, to finish my thought for PXbox real quick, yeah, there's a really cool promoter in Manchester, Judah Friedlander, introduced me to. So, yeah, we're working on it. And we will be in the UK, and we're stoked. You can show that. That's okay.
That's an all right dick joke.
Ron, don't follow up with gushing after you say you are coming. When I'm still kind of waking up, I just unintentionally, everything's a phallic reference somehow. It's been that way for years. I don't know why.
Agent Elchan, do you ever sit back and marvel at how the Russian something propaganda worked? Historians, if they are any, will they study it for years? Yeah, man. I think if we ever kind of break through, if progressives ever break through and really change things, and we really unseat the powerful and really bring the control of our, not just America, but the world, into the hands of the people, I think we will look back on this as much as we look down on the last from the 50s, the Russia scare thing that we had in this country as like, wow, that was really out of line. People are going to look at this time and that. There's no way this isn't, if you're Russia, you are on the wrong side of history. I can just tell you that right now.
Oh, I think this will be, and this is the optimist in me speaking, but I think this will be taught in journalism classes years from now as what not to do.
Right.
As this is what you don't do. And we're seeing history repeat itself because something people love to forget that, who does a good job at reminding people of this is Boots Riley, actually. He always points out that it's look, the first time we had a rise in labor in this country, which is how we got our New Deal, it was because labor was loud. It wasn't because FDR just wanted to be a nice guy. Mm-hmm. It was because labor was like, yeah, we're pissed off. And FDR was like, okay, we got to do something or we're going to lose everything. So what crushed that movement the first time was largely McCarthyism.
Yeah.
So it's the same, history's repeating itself.
Yeah. And they really, this is the thing, I want to talk about, because this just happened too, because I think some of you might have asked, but so that fascist right-wing guy just got elected as the president of Brazil, Bolsonaro, or whatever his name is. And this is what happens, in my opinion, why you're seeing this nationalism trend around the globe is the failure of capitalism. Because capitalism crushes everybody and makes everybody's lives so difficult and hard, it is then easy to go, that group over there, they did it. They're the ones. In this country, Trump ran on a very populist message, now very xenophobic and racist message, saying the Mexicans, you know, we need a wall because they're coming over here and stealing our jobs. No, they're not stealing our jobs. NAFTA stole our jobs. Globalization stole our jobs. Unregulated capitalism stole our jobs. And that's all over the world. You know, there's huge wealth inequities in Brazil, and there have been for years. And Lula was a populist, socialist style president, and they jailed the motherfucker. You know, and so then they blame ethnic groups and all this other crap, and that's why you have this fucking stupid fascist. They put Dilma Rousseff in jail. I mean, like, it's crazy what's going on. I mean, you look at Brexit, you know, some of the people behind Brexit, there was like a nationalistic sort of a racist vibe to it, from what I understand. I know there was other factors in that, and I'm not claiming to be any sort of Brexit expert, but you're seeing nationalism in a lot of Western European countries, you know, and it's because the globalists that have screwed everybody over, and so then we need a scapegoat. It's like the whole Syrian refugee thing that was really a way more bigger issue in Europe than it was here. No, like the mainstream media, the corporate media wasn't going, well, we've created all of these terrorists by bombing the shit out of them for, again, these capitalist fueled wars. And it's that's the connection there that I see from all of it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, what's interesting is, like, you're talking about the extremities as far as like hatred and stuff like that. Of course, that's a problem around the world. That's not unique to the United States. The difference between us and a lot of other, you know, kind of democratic experiments or pseudo-democratic experiments, they have more than two parties. So, you know, you do see those extremes, and it's absolutely disgusting. However, you also see actual left-wing parties. So you have a real opposition to that stuff. Whereas here, when we have literal Nazis running, which has happened, it happened over in Illinois. It is happening now. We have reached that point. The only opposition is just a corporatist. So it's like, I mean, what do you call a democratic experiment that gives you two choices, Nazi or not a Nazi? A failure. That's what you call it. You call it an absolute failure. There's no, you can't tie it up and put a bow on it. It's an absolute failure. If there's any race where you have to go, I either have to pick between a Nazi or not a Nazi. I either have to pick between a pedophile or not a pedophile.
That's
both of which has happened in the contemporary United States as
in the last year.
That's unacceptable. That's when you say the system is broken. It's not just wounded. It's not just we got to incrementally fix it. No, we need to gut it. We need to gut it, and we need a frickin' revolution, because nobody should go to the polls in the richest country in the world where they're told that they're free and have to choose between a Nazi or not a Nazi, or a pedophile or not a pedophile. It's unacceptable. We deserve better.
I'm going to read this quote from Danielle Farmer. The rise in democratically elected fascists. Good people make bad decisions in desperate attempts to make bad situations better. Yeah,
that's true.
And again, then when the institutions have been completely gutted, as Hedges talks about, the death of the liberal classes, all of these liberal institutions, the media, schools, the courts, all these things that were designed to keep the powerful in check, the ruling elites in check, have now been bought out and co-opted by the powerful. So now there's nothing to hold them accountable.
Yeah.
So, which is a really it's a travesty, really. KCH Miller, ask a question or use the super chat. Of course you can.
Please do. We want your questions. That's how we're building this one, because it's Super Chat Saturday.
Super Chat Saturday, guys. Thank you for usually I do this Sundays at 3, but because we're going to be driving back from San Francisco.
We're going to be driving from San Fran.
Yeah. Melanie, yes, there should be at least 3 major parties. Well, you know, here's the thing, and I talk about, and this is the problem with why America is so fucked. And I was talking to some, you know, comedian friends of mine that are left leaning, and I said, we need a real third party. And they're like, well, I'm afraid of that because, you know, Israel has these super right-wing parties and that'll pop up. And I was just like, I was like, well, no, we have the Green and the Libertarian parties, we need to just build them up more. I mean, because this last election, most Americans knew who Gary Johnson was, and they knew who Jill Stein was. They at least knew who they were. And while the left, you know, the Hillary people love blaming Jill Stein, they always forget that Gary Johnson got 7 million votes to Jill Stein's 1 million or something like that.
But the only way when people make the argument that, oh, the statistics are there and third parties are what ended it for Hillary, they're under the assumption, and we don't need to rehash all this because this is something I think everybody already knows. But they're assuming that every third party voter would have voted for Hillary. And that the opposite is true. I mean, Gary Johnson voters would not have voted for Hillary. They would have voted for Trump.
A lot of
and most Jill Stein, pretty much all Jill Stein voters, they wouldn't have voted if she wasn't on. They just would not have voted. So I mean,
I wouldn't have voted.
I wouldn't have
if Jill Stein wasn't on the ballot. I might have voted for Gary Johnson. I
wouldn't have voted for him.
I voted for libertarians in the past just because.
I wouldn't have voted for him, but I mean, the way I put it is, it's hard for me to say what I would have because I would have to go 2 years in the past to put. And for me, it was like I live in a safe state, so there was no when Bernie wasn't the nominee, there was no question. Like I live in California, I live in a safe state. I can use my vote to really make a statement. Of course, I'm voting for Jill Stein. You know, I mean, that was my mindset as soon as Bernie wasn't the guy.
Right.
So like, it's hard for me to like kind of pretend like, what if I lived in a swing state and could go back in the past? Like, I don't, you know, first of all, there's nothing productive to think about it anyway. But, you know, for me, it was just, of course, I'm voting for Stein. And you know, one of the things we talked about too last night.
Are a fascist psyop? I don't know about that, dude.
Well, it's a very wide umbrella. I mean, there's some people that identify as libertarian socialists.
Right.
Which I don't quite understand. And I mean, I understand it, but I don't quite agree with everything. There's a few things where I don't quite make the connection. There's a lot of brilliant people that are part of that movement, and I respect them a lot, even though I think I have some slight disagreements. But I see where they're coming from. But then there's also some libertarians that are just, they make the Republicans look reasonable. So it's a very wide umbrella. You can't really, and it's you know, depending on who you talk to, it's kind of been hijacked by the right wing, or it hasn't been. So, you know.
Yeah.
But as far as Gary Johnson, not a fan. I would never consider voting for that guy. But that's just me. But the thing we talked about last night was, you know, had Jill Stein been able to debate, had Gary Johnson been able to debate, I mean, I think Jill Stein would have pulled about 15, 20%.
Are you kidding me, man?
Yeah,
she might have gotten she would have won some states because and this is the thing I wanted to go back to.
Because she actually had ideas. Like
she had a platform.
She had them. She had a platform. That put her ahead of every other candidate.
She could have explained what the Green New Deal is, and working class people, many of whom in the middle of the country voted for Trump, might have gone, wait a minute. Because, well, here's the thing. I don't know if a lot of people know this. You know who controls the debates? The two parties.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They control it.
Get to tell who gets excluded.
Jill Stein was locked up and in 2012 because she was trying to show up for the debate, and the Democrats locked her up. She couldn't stand on a stage and debate Mitt Romney and Barack Obama. Where was the feminist outrage at that? It's like I'm so tired of the sort of selective outrage.
Oh yeah, no, the way and you know, whether you're a Jill Stein fan or not, I don't care. But the amount of disrespect that, you know, the Hillary camp has shown to her, and it's like, you know what, if you disagree with the woman, that's fine. But how can you not? This woman got tied to a chair for 8 hours because she thought she had the right to participate in a democracy. And you're gonna just thumb your nose at that, like, so easily. Like, what's wrong with you?
If I was running for office, bring whoever the fuck you got. Bring them on stage. I'm pretty confident in my beliefs. I'm not threatened. There's nobody that threatens me. What's your fear, Democratic Party? That's what I want. I'd like to sit them down and go, what? You're the big bad Democratic Party. What are you scared about the little green party that raises like pocket change compared to your $1.5 billion that Hillary? Why are you afraid of the Green Party? The Republican Party shouldn't be afraid of Gary Johnson. Can you imagine what our democracy would look like?
Yeah, especially if you heard the guy speak. Nobody should be afraid of Gary Johnson.
Sure.
If you're running for student council, you shouldn't be afraid of Gary Johnson.
But Gary Johnson made a great point. And when they made fun of him for not knowing where Aleppo, he goes, if I don't know where Aleppo is, I can't bomb it.
Right. I'm not even referring to stuff like that. That was just the media, you know, taking advantage of a soundbite or whatever. I just mean ask him to describe his plan for healthcare.
Sure.
And you'll
exactly.
lose a lot
and
of
wouldn't
brain
you
cells.
want that? Wouldn't you want to have, what if we have those 4 parties? Like I would, if I became president, I would change the law to say there has to be at least 4 different candidates for nationally televised debates, minimum.
Yeah. Well, especially since those debates, I mean, when I watched all 3 of those debates with Hillary and Trump, you know, it was.
Yes, Jill Stein's a red sparrow. She sat next to Putin at dinner. She's a red sparrow. Not a great movie. But
I've never seen it. You're the movie guy. You're the movie guy.
Real quick, PS Xbox Gamer. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The knuckles, brother. No democracy.
No democracy when ballot boxes are owned privately. Great quote.
The most hackable ballot boxes. Now, we talked about this last week, but it bears repeating since PS Xbox Gamer in Manchester, that we will come visit, brought this up. I saw, it was an episode of the Jesse Ventura show with Brigitte Santos, and Jimmy was the guest host, Jimmy Dore, and he talked about there's a blockchain voting, online voting that they've created, which is completely secure. Blockchain is like, you can't hack it.
Yeah.
And so we could have, and whereas these Diebold touchscreen at the latest hacking conference, people hacked it in 10 minutes. So we could have blockchain secure online voting. We could have that. We could have people, instead of Congress voting, we could say, here's a bill for Medicare for all. America, you have this 3-day window to log on in this secure blockchain thing and vote. America could do that. You know, like they do for American Idol? They could do that.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to do that.
Right. Oh, of course not. Yeah, there's plenty of things we could do to make our elections more secure.
Yeah.
We don't do any of them. I mean, the easiest solution would be going backwards and having paper ballots.
Yeah.
Preferably that don't get shredded. By the way, if you're in Florida, go vote for Tim Canova, please. Highly encourage. I don't tell anyone who to vote for, but I encourage Tim Canova.
All right, we got some Streamlab people doing the super chat. You and your Johnson. If you want a real understanding of Gary Johnson, watch the 1980s campaign ad, You and Your Johnson. Thank you so much for supporting the show. Shaved Knuckles. That's fantastic. Yeah, I remember, well, if you guys might not remember this, depending on your age, but I remember John Anderson ran as an independent in the 80s, I think 80 or 84.
Mm-hmm.
He was on the nationally televised debates.
Mm-hmm.
They let him on a couple of those.
Well, that's typically what they, and I do that, they'll leave you on a few initials, and then as soon as the big guys step in, and the writing was on the wall. In 2008, who were the first 2 candidates they axed out? Ron Paul and Dennis Kucinich. 2 candidates that politically don't have a lot in common. But what's one thing they really have in common? Ending the wars. Who was the first institution to kick them off of the debates? MSNBC. Who owned MSNBC at the time? General Electric. What do they make a lot of money off of? Bombs.
Whoa, I thought they just sold microwaves and bombs. Oh, I thought they were just made our lives better with toaster ovens.
I mean, it's like, it's right in front of your face. And whenever you make these connections, like what we're making between a pro-war media and an economy of war, between McCarthyism repeating itself to crush actual progressive labor movements, and how Russiagate sneaks its way into all that, people call you a conspiracy theorist.
Oh, you're crazy.
People call you, and it's like, but these are such obvious connections.
How is it a conspiracy when Boeing is buying ad time on MSNBC and all the other major?
Right. What do you think they're buying ad time? Every third commercial is for oil and gas. What, you think they need to get the word out? You think people don't know, oh, how else does my car go? I need to put this shit in it. I never knew that. No, they're buying favorable coverage. Yeah. That is obvious to anybody that's awake.
Well, wait a minute, Ron. I think a lot of people, Boeing, there's couples watching the news going, hey, honey, it's time. The new F-18s are available. Let's go buy one of those. That's why.
We got room in the backyard. We can set it right next to the smoker. What are we waiting for?
Yeah, we need new Tomahawk missiles because our kids are starting school soon. Thank you and your Johnson. Marcia Smith, thank you for supporting the show, Marcia.
Hi, Marcia. Hope you're feeling better. I know you had you weren't feeling well the other week.
But
you mentioned that on Get Your News On with Ron. I hope you are feeling better. and happy weekend.
Hi, Graham and Ron. Sorry I'm a little late, but I needed to run an errand this morning. Progressive blessings.
Those are the best kinds of
progressive blessings. Thank you, Marcia.
You know what? That's going to be my thoughts and prayers.
Progressive blessings.
I'm going to say progressive blessings from now on. Tour t-shirt. We're going to get on this.
Not voting. Thank you so much for supporting the show on streamlabs.com/Graham Elwood. Guys, the good thing about Streamlabs, Google doesn't get any taste of it. PayPal takes a little taste of it, and I get the money like in a day or two later versus Google. How much percentage they take when I get the money is very vague. But Not Voting said, if Not Voting had been a candidate, it would have won 470 electoral votes, even though I still don't understand why we have it. It doesn't even give you a useful degree. It's kind of like the Trump. You showed us that map last week, and I think the week before. They showed that they did the electoral college map. And if Not Voting would have been a candidate, it would have won 470 electoral votes.
That's hilarious in a way, sad in another way.
Right.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's really crazy, and that just shows you like it shows you, one, I don't want to vote, or I don't want to shame people that didn't vote, because I know a lot of people don't vote because they're working 2 and 3 jobs.
Right.
If their state doesn't have early voting. On a side note, I just read online, this is the highest amount of early voting we've ever seen. We've broken records for early voting for this election, which is great. And not every state has it. Not every state has vote by mail.
Right.
Like in California, we have vote by mail and we have early voting. So in the states that don't have that, where you have one 13-hour window from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m., and then you also feel like your vote doesn't matter because you see Bernie get fucked over in the primary.
But don't feel that way, because there's more on your ballot than just candidates that aren't really speaking to you. There's propositions on your ballot. There's other initiatives on your ballot, and that's where we can really bring about change. And here in California, we actually do have a lot of reasons to be optimistic. Sorry, didn't mean to go off on a tangent.
No.
I just, whenever we talk about the concept of voting, and I actually have a part on my album about this, I'm pro-voting. I just think our priorities are ass backwards.
Right.
Like our priorities are we always talk about presidential. Our priority should be the complete opposite. It should go local should be the first priority. Midterm should be the second priority. And the third priority should be presidential. It shouldn't be presidential matters most and everything else matters.
The local stuff matters more to your daily life than anything else. Like California, we talk about this a lot. We talk about this on Aggressive Progressive. Proposition 10. So if you're in the state of California, Proposition 10, you should absolutely vote for it. Proposition 10, first of all, protects rent control and then allows cities that don't have rent control to put rent control on the ballot in an upcoming election so that the voters, the citizens, can see if they want rent control. What also has happened with Proposition 10 is they passed a law in 1995 that said you can't add homes that were built, I think, after 1995 into rent control, right? And single family homes, like a house, you can't make that rent control. So voting yes on Proposition 10 would repeal that law from 1995. Because another thing that happened, and I did a video on this, in 2008 when the recession hit and everybody was foreclosing on homes, these developers and management companies bought up all of these homes and are renting them out, because after 2008, so many people couldn't qualify for a home loan. So they had to rent a house. Let's say they have kids or whatever, and they need more space. So those houses cannot qualify for rent control. So the management companies have spent $45 million on this No on Prop 10 campaign, which is complete bullshit, because they just don't want to have rent control on all these properties that they own, right? So, and I showed even a map in the video. If you go through I did a whole video on it. It's Vote Yes on 10 video. Please watch it.
10's a big one.
10 is a
big one here in our state.
It's huge. So check that out. In Los Angeles, we have Prop B
public banking. Shout out to Josh Androsky, who's a comic in town and has been very active on that initiative, along with a lot of other folks too. They've really, I mean, they won over the mayor, they won over the city council, and they really did it via the grassroots. I mean, I'm trying to pick their brain and take notes because I'm trying to do a similar thing in my community for municipal broadband. And I'm trying to learn as much as I can from them, because that's really how you can get policy change. You build up a movement, and you get people on your side. Well,
yeah, and that would be, and a public bank would be, if it happens, it'll be the only second public bank in all of America. The other one is in North Dakota.
Yeah, and the rest of the country's watching. I mean, that's what, because if Los Angeles, a big metropolis, gets a public bank, people see what a public bank can do. Because what that does, all the funds that we just kind of give away to Wells Fargo and all these other corrupt corporate banks, it puts it back in your community. And you can get loans for a more reasonable interest, because their motive isn't to profit off of you. Their motive is to just be a sustainable community resource. So it helps everybody. It helps small business. And that's how they're winning people across the political aisles. When you bring up the point that it does give you lower interest loans, where it does help the small business community, people on the right listen a little bit.
Well, currently, to go into detail about what you're talking about, currently the city of Los Angeles, like most major cities, when they do a bond measure, they're borrowing money to do let's say they're to redo the streets or build a new train line or something like that. They have to pay, literally, it's like hundreds of millions of dollars a year in interest, because the Wall Street banks are charging them 15-20% interest. A public bank would charge the city of Los Angeles like 3% interest. So there's hundreds of millions of dollars the city of Los Angeles will save every year that goes back into social programs, infrastructure, all that stuff. So that's why what Ron's saying, why it is leading the way, because if LA votes for Prop B and gets it, man, then it changes everything. Then it's like, then all these other cities. So if you have friends and family that are, you got to live, I can't vote because I'm not a citizen of Los Angeles. I live in a different town.
Yeah, me too.
But tell people to vote for it. But let's bring up another one here. So Daniel Farmer said Michigan's Prop 3 would establish automatic registration. We have several important props. That's a
Oregon has something similar. And yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. And the other thing I wanted to just add this on the public bank before we jump to more questions and comments here. I think a public bank would also lead to better candidates, because when you have all this money coming into the city that's meant to be used for city resources, if you have corrupt people in office that aren't using it, where it's like, why aren't our roads better? We have all this freaking money. We see the bottom line. Why aren't our roads better? Why aren't we doing something about homelessness? Why aren't we doing something about, all this stuff? Then it's going to be easier to get better candidates, because people are really, the mask is already kind of off. It's going to remove the mask and the freaking makeup of what's really going on.
Well, it's crazy, but I want to say, PS Xbox Gamer, just thank you so much for donating to the show again.
I hope it's because you really want to see us in Manchester, man. We're trying, and I am, man.
We're gonna get plane tickets, £2 at a time, brother.
Say hi to the Ritz for me, please, over in Manchester. Get a toasty for me, because we don't have those over here. I don't know why. It's bread, a protein, or like a veggie thing in your case, cheese, mustard. Boom, done. Why don't we have those available for breakfast? Why don't we have them?
I don't know.
It's not hard.
I don't know why the Hurling Museum isn't bigger. I don't know. I don't know why. I don't understand. We live in a messed up time. We live in a messed up world, buddy. But he just wrote, it's so sad how far away the Dems went from FDR. Yeah, thanks for supporting the show.
It's because the establishment hasn't been scared in a while.
No, they haven't.
They need to be scared again.
They were scared in the 60s and 70s, which is why we've had no draft since then, which is why no war has been on TV since then. And it's the thing that FDR, when he was running for his third term in 1940, he was such a popular president that they had to limit his terms. He wrote a letter to the Democratic National Committee ahead of the convention and said, don't go right. Don't go to the right. Stay left.
Yeah.
That's why we keep winning, because we're so left. We're so for the people. We're so for workers. And they were supposed to, if you watch Oliver Stone's History of the United States, you see they were trying to get Henry Wallace in there, who was very anti-war. He was very left, very socialist. And
please give the official title, Putin Puppet.
Putin.
Thank you.
Putin
Just
Puppet, Oliver Stone. Yes. Dos
class this up a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
We're in a hotel room.
I know. We're in a very classy hotel room. But no, and they pushed Henry Wallace out in favor of Truman, who was very right-leaning, very war, very so. It's a cool thing, but I want to read some of the other things. And also in California, Proposition 8 is in favor of kidney dialysis. The healthcare industry is doing these scare tactics, saying Prop 8's bad. It'll send dialysis patients out on the streets or whatever. That's their tactic. Just like they're saying Prop 10 will hurt your property values, which is complete bullshit.
Which is not true. Yeah.
And they're using those old tactics.
It doesn't hurt the landlords either, by the way.
No, it doesn't hurt the landlords. They can still make a profit. Under rent control, you can legally raise your rent like 3% every year. I have rent control in my apartment. They raise my rent a little bit every year.
Yeah. And if for some reason the landlords were losing out and it's I mean, it wouldn't happen, but if it did, they would reevaluate things.
Yeah.
Like there's still like protections in there for everybody involved.
Right.
So this right-wing argument of property values and landlords, it's not true.
It's just greedy.
It's just not true.
Developers and
it's greedy. Yeah.
It's greedy developers.
Balthazar points out sorry, I don't mean to like jump around here, but Balthazar, Colorado, a ban on fracking. So if you're in Colorado, that's Prop 112. They're reporting. Ban on fracking.
So that's great. So if you're in Colorado,
please vote for that.
I've talked a lot about this.
Fracking fluid is not going to help your pot plants.
No.
Vote it down. Ban fracking. Ban it.
I've done so many stories.
Vote for it because it's a ban on fracking. Sorry, I didn't want to fuck it up. Vote for the ban on fracking.
Yes. So Tim Stack, who's a big Patreon supporter of this channel, lives in Colorado, has sent me numerous articles that I've covered about fracking, about they've had explosions in Colorado due to fracking. They've had contaminated water due to fracking. So this is something that you should absolutely pay attention to. And here's the thing now, if Colorado bans fracking, again, all the other fracking states, then other citizens go, we should ban that. Yeah. We should ban fracking. It's like Los Angeles passes public banking. Everyone looks to that. If Michigan has automatic registration, everyone will start looking to that. You see what happens?
Yeah.
Why those ballot measures are so important. Even if you're like, I have a bunch of shitty candidates I don't want to vote for. Like it's Dianne Feinstein versus some other sort of not as shitty. De Leon. I don't want to vote for.
He hasn't even run a campaign.
Yeah.
He hasn't even run it. His campaign is I'm not her.
I know.
It's like, this is just.
I don't think I can vote for either one of them, but you know what? I'm going to vote for Prop 10. And I'm going to vote. There's a green running for my rent control board in Santa Monica. I'm voting for that guy.
Nice.
I'm voting, there's a couple.
There's some good people on the ballot. We just don't. I mean, you have to live. I'd love to vote for Maria Estrada. I don't live in her district, so I can't. I'd love to vote for Kenneth Mejia. I don't. Yeah. It's just I'd love to vote for Rodolfo. I don't live. So you are limited in some ways, but there's still some candidates to be excited about. It's not like it's only like there's still some good candidates out there too. And if you live in their districts and are able to vote for them, I encourage you to look into them.
Right.
So there's that. And can I have one more thing on fracking? Like we talk about power locally, how you can really try to instill change. I grew up in Pittsburgh, which is one of the fracking capitals right now, unfortunately. Western Pennsylvania, that's where the Marcellus Shale is. That's where, that whole area is where the movie Gasland took place. And we had a very progressive mayor in my parents' town. He was a really big progressive. He got the mayor spot in their community. And I wasn't living in the city at the time, but he was able to pass a fracking ban in their community, which helps me sleep a little easier at night, knowing there's a fracking ban where my parents live. And he did it with he was the mayor. He was a big progressive. He made it a priority. The people joined him and he got it done. And other places in the city duplicated it. So, there's something to be said for just trying to make your community a little bit better because that will spread.
And you have more power now than you realize. Mm-hmm. I say you're all political vigilantes. Post this, you live in Michigan, post this on your social media. Post about the Colorado anti-fracking proposition on your social media.
And we're coming to both those places, by the way. Detroit, we're coming. Flint, we're trying to get there too. Colorado, we're coming.
So, you know, put that on your social media. That's a way. And you're like, oh, I only have 100 followers. Well, it might be 50 extra votes, and then they repost it, and then all of this can change on a grassroots level. Thank you, David Lazarus, for supporting the show, brother.
They want us, dude, more pounds.
More pounds. We're coming over.
Message received.
Schultz 100, thank you so much for supporting the show. Remember, when we don't vote, the far right will. Absolutely. Old right-wingers vote, man. They show up. They always show up. That's why they make TV ads to scare the old people. Yeah. Because they're still watching TV that way. Don't fall for that crap, man.
Well, and one thing I love to tell people, if voting at the local level didn't matter, old people wouldn't be the biggest group to come out and do it.
Yep.
Because they would have figured it out. They'd be like, yeah, like local elections. But no, they know that this is what. Why do you think we have smoking bans all over the freaking country? Yep. And I'm actually a non-smoker, so I'm not complaining about that. I actually like having smoke-free bars, but that's why we have it, because older people were like, yeah, fuck this. I don't
want this.
Yeah, we don't want this. And they showed up to vote.
Pay attention to who's running in your smaller races, your city council members, your state assembly members, your state representatives. Because like in the state of California, we could have single payer healthcare across the board. They won't do it because they're bought out by the so Schultz 100. You're right. Everybody vote.
That comment is 100% right.
That's right. C. Ethington, thank you for supporting the show. Have either of you felt so disgusted / hopeless about our government that you have thought about moving to another country? If so, where? Ron, you want to take that question?
England. Yeah, like a couple weeks ago. Yeah, I mean, totally. It's like you read my mind. Yeah, I was seriously, I did not look at the news very much while I was on vacation. I did as little as possible. You know, I did a little bit here and there and, you know, helped Jimmy out with some admin stuff here and there. And that's pretty much all I did. Did some stand-up spots for fun. But other than that, I was in vacation mode. And over in England and Scotland and Ireland too, and those countries aren't perfect. I'm not going to say they are. I'm not going to say the BBC's perfect. Of course it's not. They have their problems, and they have similar problems to us in many ways. But, you know, I looked a little bit at their news. They actually really talk about issues. They're talking about Brexit very constructively. And, you know, they look at issues on their subways. There were billboards for rent control initiatives, for rent control activist groups. Then I'd look
at Viagra,
and then I'd look at their then I'd look at American news for a second, and it'd be like, Trump wants to eliminate trans people. Here's a shooting. Here's another shooting. By the way, when you get back, there will probably be another shooting. And I kind of couldn't help but think, turning to my fiance and being like, hey, that return flight home, you sure? It's hard not to feel that way. So I have thought, but SoCal's my home.
You know, I love living in Southern California. I love living near the beach. I love, you know, all of the cool things that you can do just in entertainment. I love being on Young Turks or coming up and doing Jimmy's show, or all the cool podcasts that I get to be a part of, all the stand-up shows, all the entertainment I get to do. I love all of that. But I worry because America, the high level of gun ownership, and we're a violent country with a lot of racism and a lot of division. And I worry about it. And, you know, I always thought, as I speak a little Portuguese, I'd love to live in Brazil and live on the beach and surf there. Well, they just nominated they just elected a fucking fascist.
Mm-hmm.
It scares the shit out of me. And when I was in Australia, I love Australia. You know, it's like an English California is what I call Australia. It's like, if
that's a cool, I mean, I've never been, so I bet I can see how that makes sense.
If California was settled by Brits, that's what Australia would be.
Nice.
So I've thought about living in Australia. I know, again, Australia is not perfect, but it doesn't have the gun violence.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have the war machine. I'm not as scared in that country as I am in America sometimes. And then I kind of go back and forth, you know, I'm like, oh, I'd love to live in Costa Rica. They have no military. They have a plastics ban. They have this very environmental, progressive environmental policy down there. And it's beautiful. But then I think, well, then someone could just steamroll through that country if they wanted to. So I don't know. It's crazy thoughts to have, but I've had them a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun, but and you know, and to kind of put like a little bit of you know, I don't want to seem. I mean, I love the U.S. in many ways. I mean, yeah, there are many flaws.
Being comics,
talk about them.
Stand-up comedy, the being on the road as a stand-up comic, this is a uniquely American thing.
It really
comedy
is.
Clubs in every town.
It really is, and it's spreading around the world, which is actually a really good thing. And comedy is great over in other places too. And you have more experience with that than I do, and I hope to experience more with this tour. But you know, when we made a list of just the regions we want to go to domestically, it's a long list because there's so many freaking amazing places in this country, so many cities that I celebrate. Some of them I've gotten to live in, and you know, so this place is still a great place in many ways. But yeah, there are some very striking concerns, and sometimes. But you know, your answer was a lot more. I mean, for me, if I lived anywhere else, it would probably be either London or Manchester. Because I'm thinking work. I'm thinking work because I'm like, well, I gotta like that would be a good place. Like I live in Los Angeles, the show business capital, pretty much. So the only other place that would make sense for me to live would either be New York, which is also in the U.S. So, or if I live anywhere else, it seems like London or Manchester because, like, I mean, you know, if I could just have a music talk show on the BBC, I think I could.
Dude, if
not be in Manchester.
If there was any TV gigs offered to me, like in Sydney, Australia, later,
yeah,
I'd be gone.
Oh, if Dublin was like, we want you to do the first ever hurling talk show, I would need to learn more.
Hurling tonight with Ron Placone. This week in hurling.
Me and 9 people would just have a ball until they pulled our funding. We would have the best time. You laugh now, but you know, it's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time before you're looking up terms because you're next week's guest. You're like, what's the
Ron?
The slitter's the ball, right?
Yes.
I need to know that.
You need to add a hurling tier to your Patreon page. I think that's what you need to do. Natural progressive, but that was a great question, by the way. Natural progressive. Hey, Chris, shave your knuckles. Thank you for supporting the show. Here's some love for you, Two-Face. Great job on aggressive progressive. Thanks.
See you in May.
Yeah.
Can we add that?
Yeah, we're going to Utah.
We're coming to Utah in May.
Utah in May.
Yeah,
we're working on that. We're looking maybe tie Boise into it.
Tying Boise into it. It will probably be, and we're thinking about doing a live vigilante.
Yeah, we're going to probably do a progressive comedy tour, stand-up show, and then like the next night maybe do a political vigilante, and then maybe go up to Boise.
If you have any insight on Salt Lake venues, hit us up.
Yep, hit us up. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah,
and thanks you guys for watching. We love doing aggressive progressives. It's so fun. They got really good tea over there.
Yes, yeah, they do. Really good snacks.
Really good. Oh, someone's fighting in the room next door to us.
Are they? Is that what that is?
I don't know what that's.
I thought they were just like cleaning the room. Maybe they had to move some stuff around.
Cleaning the room with a sledgehammer.
Like you do.
Like you tend to do. How can this country even be saved, especially if it is a democracy? We're going to vote for assholes because the people here are all are assholes. Well, yeah, I've definitely felt that that down, that black, like there's nothing we can, it's all, but then I'm filled with so much hope. So Sets, thank you so much for supporting the show. Sadly, we're doing our best to become a Trumparian America as Rupert Murdoch controls the bulk of our media. Live in Melbourne, most progressive city. Man, I love Melbourne too. Melbourne is Melbourne is like it's an Australian San Francisco. It's like the same weather. It's a little cooler. The architecture is similar. It's really cool. I love Melbourne.
Are they booting the creative class to other cities because they're grossly overpriced and they have like a Silicon Valley?
Who are making decisions about freedom of speech?
Yeah,
I don't know that they're doing.
Oh, they don't have that part.
I don't think Melbourne's.
I love San Francisco, and I can't wait to see it tonight. I just wanted to throw a joke in there.
Yeah, it's not a joke. It's commentary. It's a great point you bring, Sets. Yeah, it's how can we fight this? But I think that since more of us, I say this a lot, you know, more of us are waking this up. 2 years ago, I wasn't doing this show. 2 years ago, there wasn't this community of you guys watching my show and News On with Ron. So I'm having hope, and I just interviewed Carla Ortiz, and when I get time, I'm going to cut that interview up into 2 parts and put it online. And she's very positive, and she's seen awful war and bodies and just awful crap in Syria, and she's so positive. And so I was sort of like, she's very inspirational in that regard. So I'm trying to be as positive as I can because I see little glimpses of hope, you know, and I see progressive candidates winning and stuff like that. And there's also all these CIA Democrats. I did a video on that, but like, you know,
yeah, that's the thing now. Yeah, that's fun. CIA,
yeah.
former Bush operatives that they had a change of heart.
Yeah, they're coming around. So Sets, thank you so much for supporting the show.
We'll see you soon.
Pat S. Boom.
What
thank
up,
you for
Pat?
supporting the show. Shave all your knuckles. Hey guys, I love your work. Thank you for what you do in advance to advance the progressive message. I live in Pennsylvania and I plan on seeing Ron on the 23rd.
Cool.
Nice.
See you there.
Bring your hurling stick. Ron will autograph it.
That would actually make my night if anything like that ever happened. I mean, if it didn't happen in Dublin, I don't think it's going to happen. But when we play Dublin, there's going to be someone that brings a freaking hurling stick.
There better be.
There will. Yeah. I mean,
someone better show up in a hurling uniform, whatever that is.
It's like, yeah, it looks like a soccer jersey, basically.
Oh,
yeah.
They don't wear like a In-N-Out burger.
Graham, all I can say about hurling jerseys is the holidays are coming, and so you might find out.
Oh, yes. Give me a hurling jersey. Pat S. also said, I'm voting for Fetterman / holding my nose to vote for Casey. These are candidates in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, Casey's not, but yeah, Casey's not all that great, but yeah.
I understand the hold your nose thing. I get it.
Yeah, I get it.
I get it. I don't judge anyone who does it. I personally can't do it. Like, I thought about that guy that's going against Dianne Feinstein, but I was just like, no.
Well, I think every situation's different too.
Sure, it depends
and when you acknowledge like what we're dealing with in California, I mean, the whole thing with De Leon and Feinstein, it's like, why should I trade in a familiar, opposition for an unfamiliar opposition who presumably would be around a lot longer? Like, why would I, like, it seems like, so it seems like I don't really have a choice necessarily.
No.
So why should I justify voting for either one of those candidates? I'll leave it blank.
No, it's a valid point.
Yeah. So I think it's just strategically whereas if you're faced with a situation where, gee, Beto O'Rourke is not some progressive superhero, but he's certainly eons better than Ted Cruz. Yeah. This is a district in Texas. I see the difference between those two things. Yeah. Those are two different scenarios. I'm not telling anybody what to do either way, but those are two different things.
Well, and this point was brought up last week on the super chat. Excuse me. They were like, someone asked, how do you make a determination? Because they were like, they love Tim Canova, but he's very pro-Israel. And someone was like, is that my... And the thing I said is kind of similar to what you said, is I think it's a case-by-case basis. And I think each one of you individually has to go, well, where's my line? Like, where do I draw the line? And I would say, for me personally, I would vote for Tim Canova just because he has so many good progressive issues, very pro-environment. And Debbie Wasserman Schultz she's
corruption.
She is everything that's wrong with.
A picture dictionary should just have her face for corruption, like corruption. Just a picture of her face.
Her and Ted Cruz are like everything that's wrong with politics in America.
Yeah. And Tim, I will say Tim's views on Israel, I am not fully in agreement with. But again, hear him talk about it before you just lump him into one camp or another. Because when Tim talks about Israel, and again, I am not fully in agreement with his views on that topic. I'll make that very clear. However, he's talking about it through the lens of someone who spent time over there with peace activists.
Right.
Because, I mean, that's something we kind of forget, where it's like, look, just like the United States, there are people that are very opposed to what our military does and what the decision our government makes.
There's a lot of Israelis.
There's a lot of Israelis that are in the same situation. They're peace activists. They're opposed to what their oppressive government is doing to Palestinians. And Tim's kind of coming at it.
There's Palestinians who are opposed to like Hamas and that thing too. There's very Palestinians like, hey man, stop lumping. You're waking it. Everyone lumps us into we're all terrorists because of you guys.
And that's why I don't even like those terms. I don't like when people say pro-Israel or even pro-Palestine. Like, I don't like to look at it that way. I like to look at it. I'm pro-peace. Yeah. I'm pro, conflict resolution. I'm pro. And, the thing is like when you're trying to solve a conflict, like the way I like to look at it, if one person has all the power, or one entity rather has all the power, and is brutalizing the other side, that needs to stop first. So whenever it's like, well, it's complicated. Like, okay,
No.
okay, well,
shooting unarmed people isn't complicated.
Right, exactly. It's just like, okay, the issue itself, we'll say, okay, it's complicated. Well, but the people that's using this brutal force, they need to let up first before we can do anything.
Yeah.
You know, like that's just,
yeah.
So, you know, my point is, do I fully agree with Tim on his Israeli stances? No, I don't. But there is a light year. There's a huge difference between someone like him and a Chuck Schumer on that issue.
Yeah.
A huge difference.
Thank you, Pat S., for supporting the show, man. Really, really awesome. We really appreciate everything you guys are saying. And Stable Genius Progressive. Not all rednecks are terrorist or pro-terrorist. They're just some of them are good Americans who like to drive trucks, fish, and listen to country music. Yeah, that's the other thing. That's well, Ron, you bring up a good point, and to expand on it with America, it's like all Trump supporters are just Klan member fucking, and it's like, no, that's not true either. That's what the corporate media does. The corporate media paints sexist, everyone sexist burn. You're violent. All Bernstein supporters are just violent millennial men, right? Which we all know is not accurate. All Trump supporters are just like redneck gun hillbilly. And it's like, man, doing this show and talking to people, like, you know, I'm very open, I'm very clear on I want heavy gun legislation, but like I've met people like on this show, watch me, or like, Graham, I live in the country, I hunt, I'm a gun owner, and I also am very progressive on this. I know so-called conservatives that are very pro-environment because they're like, I fish and the stream is contaminated and I don't like, you know, like I'm a hunter, and then like they might be fiscally conservative. That's the problem with the two-party system, is it takes 300 million people and says you're either this or you're that.
Right. Yeah.
And it's madness.
Yeah.
It's madness.
And when you really kind of strip it down and actually have constructive conversations, you realize a lot of us just want the same things, you know, so.
Chris Wynn just got back from early voting, proud to vote for progressive in Indiana. Right on, dude. Way to go early voting. If anyone has early voting, go do it now. Goldilocks 369, you just got notified. So I have to say this every week, you guys. First of all, hit the make sure you're subscribed, because YouTube is maybe unsubscribed you. Hit the bell notification thing. You may or may not get notified. That's like the best we can do. And the other thing I would always say is follow me on social media, because I always post on Instagram, my Facebook fan page, and Twitter that I'm going live. It's usually Sundays at 3 p.m. Pacific, but like on the road like this, I got to do other times. So just follow me, and that's another way to know that this is happening. Yeah, conservative should want to conserve the environment and keep it. That's what the conservative used to mean. They Montauk, they want universal full comprehensive health care. They want a living wage of $17 an hour, and they want their kids to go to school debt-free of college. Right, exactly. Yeah, that's the other thing too. And that Montauk brings up a great point, which is, again, we say this time and time again, if the Democrats ran on $15 to $20 an hour minimum wage, free health care, free college tuition, all these so-called red staters would be on board with that shit, because one of the reasons people went for Trump is because Obama promised them all this shit and it didn't come true. The Clintons screwed them over in NAFTA. Bush screwed them over. And they viewed Trump when he was, I mean, you got to remember those Republican debates. Trump blew up the Republican establishment. He blew it up.
And he debated them from the left.
I know.
Yeah.
He said on national TV to Jeb Bush, 9/11 happened on your dad's watch. I was like, wow, man, that is a bold fucking stance to take, you know?
Did he actually say dad's watch?
He said happened on your dad's watch.
If so, he fucked it up. He should have said brother's watch.
Oh, I thought Jeb was his son. Isn't Jeb Bush his son?
Wait, is Jeb GW's son?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. Sorry.
Who cares?
Oh, yeah. Jeb, yeah. Sorry. Brain fart.
David Wint. 2 knuckles for you, bro. Shave them down. Thank you for supporting the show. Hedges says our only hope to organize the overthrow of the corporate state through sustained mass civil disobedience and non-cooperation. If he's right, then everything else is just rearranging the deck chairs. No, great point, David Wint. I think, yes, that's what Hedges says, and I.
No, they're brothers. GW, they're brothers. They're brothers.
GW and Jen?
I had to check. I had to break because I was trying to picture the generations of evil, and it's like, no, they're brothers.
Oh.
Yeah. His brother, George W. Yeah. Because that's like he threw it for him in Florida.
Oh, right.
Yeah. GHW is the dad.
They're their dad.
And then they spawned the two.
But then he haven't on his, whatever he said.
And yeah.
Fuck them all. Fuck the oligarchs. Sorry.
It doesn't matter because he could have like gotten that one wrong. It's like
no one would care.
It's like, like the generational evils. It's like sometimes you mix stuff up. It's easy.
You guys, the Rothschilds, the Blandenberg Group, it's all the same. But David Wint, so as I interpret that statement from Hedges about sustained mass civil disobedience and non-cooperation, I think there's a lot of ways to do that. Some of those ways are kind of within the system, like a public bank in Los Angeles, ending fracking. I think you get those ballot measures passed, you get those on the, then we're trying to, part of it is the overwhelming numbers, and we'll see what happens after Tuesday, of all this early voting. How is that going to, they don't want you to do that. They don't want you to participate. Now, those are more forms of changing things within the structure. I think a lot of what Hedges is talking about, and this is again my interpretation, is like walkouts, strikes, mass strikes, general strikes we've talked a lot about on this show, the teacher strikes that were successful in 3 different red states. That to me, I think some of it, when I hear like, for me, the rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic is like the Democratic Party going.
Yeah, to me, that's saying we just need to keep going with the status quo because everything was fine before Trump got here.
Yeah, we limited the superdelegates. That's the deck chair bullshit. That's the
deck chair bullshit. And I think also getting on this, we do talk about, like it's sort of like it's not all A or not all B. This idea when people just say, you got to vote, you got to vote, you got to vote, and then you vote, and you vote. Making it out like voting is just all you have to do is unfortunately not the reality. It is going to take massive strikes. It is going to take non-cooperation with the status quo. However, that doesn't mean that you should be discouraged to go to the ballot box still, because there's initiatives that are kind of the result of those grassroots movements. And if you don't show up to cast your ballot, well, then, they're not going to be instituted either. So, it's kind of like, if you think that voting is just all you have to do, well, that's not the case right now. You gotta get out to the streets too, or we're not going to see real change.
Well, yeah.
But to make it out like the ballot is totally worthless, well, I'm not in that camp either. I don't think that's the case.
Well, because you brought up the point earlier, like, so if we pass, let's say, ballot measure B in Los Angeles, it'll change the candidates. But let's look to Colorado. If they pass the anti-fracking ban, no more fracking candidates. You can't run. You can't run on a I'm fracking is good for business in Colorado. So that's a place where the ballot measure will change the politics of the state of Colorado should that pass. And that is good because I totally agree with you. Just vote, vote, vote. Because I saw Chelsea Handler she's just like, vote only for female candidates. She thinks that's the solution. She votes there's this picture of Chelsea Handler with all these feet. Who's on it? Feinstein, Liz Warren, who gave $80 billion along with 4 other Democrats to Trump. And I'm like, that's the misinformed deck chair, any blue will do bullshit. That's what I think about that, David. So that's a great question.
That's a very great point. A very great quote.
Yeah. Hedges is fantastic.
Absolutely. He is.
Thanks, dude, for supporting the show. Natural Progressive. Thank you, Chris. I had a great interview with Natural Progressive. It's on the YouTube, my channel. Please check it out. She brings up great information about what's going on in Utah that I wouldn't know about. She says, I'm in Mitt Romney's area. There are shenanigans, videos on my channel. Go to her channel, The Natural Progressive. Some indies got no ballot. Some Republicans got 2. County changes story. Jesus Christ. And I get that. I hear that when people hear that, go, my vote doesn't count. I still think you should pay attention and vote as much as you can and call this out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think I don't, there's not a silver bullet for this fix. We have to, all these different things. We have to vote these ballot measures in. We have to get progressive candidates when we can. We got to try to get the Green Party and the Kenneth Mejias in when we can. And we have to we have to change the voting system. Again, there's not one, like, I'm in favor of open primaries. I'm in favor of ranked choice voting. I'm in favor of early vote. Like, there's all these little things. I think we have to attack it from a bunch of different angles.
Yeah.
Because there is all this corrupt voter stuff that Natural Progressive is talking about here.
And it's easier said than done because the reality of the situation, there's only so many of us.
Right.
That is true. But, you know, when you're loud, you know, people are going to connect with different things. Some people, you know, they're really going to connect with something like municipal broadband because maybe they want to be a content creator or they are a content creator and they see how that's connected to everything else. If we don't have a good communication channel, we can't do any of this stuff, right? So that's connected to everything. Some people, they might connect with something like public banking. Maybe, you know, they have some kind of financial background and they think, holy shit, why aren't we? Yeah, this makes so much sense. And then public banking is going to lead them to other things. Other people, they might connect with an environmental thing because they farm and then they see what, you know, so different issues can kind of bring different people into the fight. And they're all very much connected. And I think we're seeing that maybe more so than ever before. And that's a good thing. So yeah.
David Wentz in response, yes, vote, but there needs to be way more focus on organizing civil disobedience. Yeah, dude, I agree. I agree with you. That's the thing I'm talking about. I agree. There needs to be a peace march. We haven't had an anti-war movement in 40 fucking years in this country.
And there needs to be massive strikes.
Yeah.
And I understand. Me and Graham both understand that that doesn't apply to us. So, you know, we want to help being communication vessels. That's how we can help. We understand that we don't work conventional jobs.
Right.
So there's nothing for us to strike from necessarily.
Right.
But we want to help the people that are. And you know, I know that's not easy to do, but that is what needs to happen. Mm-hmm. You know, we're just talking a little bit more about elections because there is one in a couple days. That's, you know,
that's
kind of why we're talking ballot heavy right now, because in a few days it happens. But
David, when you bring up a good point, but that's why I see like the Women's March is becoming an anti-war thing,
which is awesome,
which is great.
Yeah.
The Me Too movement is getting involved in the McDonald's employee strike. Whole Foods employees are starting to unionize. Like those are the things. I agree. There needs to be way more, but I would also say that it is happening.
It's starting to happen, and you know, also the DSA is taking on initiatives. They're taking on causes. They're not just trying to support, you know, people dem entering or just progressive candidates. Not that stuff isn't important, but you know, they're also taking on causes and stuff like that, and winning people over that way. So
it's death of 1,000 cuts, David. You know what I mean? We're fighting a monster, and we can't just stand toe to toe and punch him and knock him out. We have to we got to get 1,000 people to cut here. It's got to be death of 1,000 cuts. But thank you so much, Monotalk. Thank you both for doing what you're doing. It's valiant and needed. We appreciate you and your entire crew. Thanks, man. Thank you so much. You know, we're in a hotel room.
And thanks for supporting Rodolfo.
Yeah.
And, you know, I saw some of the comments from earlier. Unfortunately, Jimmy has not been in the best of health as of recent. So, you know, they mentioned that, you know, we've been trying to interview Rodolfo over at the Jimmy Dore Show. But unfortunately, Jimmy has been sick. So it's been kind of one day at a time. But, yeah, I'd love to try to get him on Get Your News On with Ron before the election happens. So, you know, please do get in touch.
Lori Mountain Gal Pal, thank you so much for supporting the show. Shave your knuckles, Lori. High on the mountain. The Colorado proposition is only for setbacks of 2,500 of fracking wells from certain structures. It's not a fracking ban, though I sure wish it was. Thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah.
But again, every little thing helps.
Yeah.
I think like fracking is a big monster with a lot of money.
And that's a lot of wells.
That's a lot of wells.
A lot of wells.
But
so
2,500 wells, that's a good thing. And I think
but it's important to know what still needs to be done.
Yeah,
so it's important you point out, well, it's not quite a ban. It's a step in a better direction, but you know, we're still fighting for that ban. So
thank you, Lori Mountain Gal Pal, for putting that on there. We really appreciate it. Let me see. Anybody on the Streamlabs side? Yes. Taoists. Nice. All Taoists are delusional, strawning idiots who are still withering. Hashtag still withering.
Still withering. Which, by the way, we're going to be performing with Peter Douche tonight. Peter Douche will be at the show tonight, San Francisco.
Yeah, he's got a new book coming out.
Yep.
He's going to talk about
An Inconvenient Douche.
Yep. And I think you can buy it at inconvenientdouche.com.
Yeah.
Really cool hanging out with him last night.
Yeah, it was really cool hanging out with him.
Yeah, and the
Movement for a People's Party was there. Which they're really working on organizing labor right now, which is a very good thing.
Which is great. Also, Balthazar228, thank you for supporting the show, brother. Knuckle up. Both the Democratic and Republican and all others gubernatorial candidates decided to oppose Prop 112 in Colorado. This is the fracking proposition we're talking about in Colorado. So I couldn't vote for any gubernatorial candidate at all. The gas lobby even pushed a compensation bill onto the ballot to undo 112. God.
Wow.
Well, this is why it is important. And getting the clarification from Mountain Gal Pal, look what they do. They bought all the major candidates. They're putting all this bullshit on there. Why? So restricting 2,500 wells is still, that hurts their bottom line.
Oh, and I think, all right, so we might have missed a little detail here because we're reading this in real time, and we're, we don't live in Colorado, so we're not fluent in all the propositions there. But it looks like it's 2,500 feet.
Oh, okay.
Of fracking, because someone's pointing out, well, a lot of the things that are under that are now kind of going to be able to fly through the radar.
Okay, so this is from Fracking Ban. Thank you for supporting the show. It's a clever setback as 97% of wells are within 2,500 feet of settled structures. Okay. Well, thank you guys for clearing that up, man, because we don't obviously.
So most of them were within that, so they should be able to, they'll be hurt.
Yeah, they'll be hurt.
Which is a good thing.
That is a good thing.
Yeah. Thank you for unpacking this for us. We don't, we're not fluent in what's going on there with that. But yeah, it looks like this is definitely a good strike to the industry, and it's very important. But, you need to know if you don't have a ban, got to keep working towards that band.
Yeah.
Band.
Yeah.
Band.
And then,
I don't know.
You're also showing the oil lobby, the fracking lobby, and their bought and paid for candidates. Sorry. Fuck you, man. We're calling the shots here.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
And you can do that in your community. Look at what Gail McLaughlin did to the oil industry in Richmond, which is not too far from where we're at. Yeah.
She had a city council of 8 or 9 people, and she got 7 progressives on it or something like that. Like Chevron had a desk inside of City Hall. She fought them and won. Like that's a little small town where the oil industry said, we can just come in this little town, steamroll it, buy it up. We'll do whatever the fuck we want. And she went, no, you guys can do that. As Snork White 2K points out, fracking is strongly associated with earthquakes. A new supervolcano has been discovered in Southern California. Oh, Jesus Christ. So, all right. Well, guys,
we are out of time.
We are. Lori Mountain Garpal, Colorado politicians are deeply connected with oil and gas. It's a big battle here. Guys, it's been an awesome 90 minutes in this fantabulous hotel room. You guys are great. I want to thank all of the people on the YouTube side that did the super chat. We've got Anthony Maldonado. Whoops. PS Xbox Gamer.
See you in Manchester.
See you in Manchester. PS Xbox Gamer again. PS Xbox Gamer another time. David Lazarus. Schultz C100. C. Ethington. Thank you, David Lazarus. Natural Progressive. Thank you, Chris.
See you in May.
Sets. Thank you so much. Pat S. Boom. Thank you so much, you guys.
See you in Pittsburgh, Pat.
See you. Yep. David Went. Thank you so much, brother. Always great to see you on the show. Natural Progressive again. Monotalk. Mahalo. And Lori Mountain Gal Pal, that is on the YouTube side. Thank you so much. And then all of the fine folks at streamlabs.com /Graham Elwood. We've got Fracking Ban. Thank you so much. Balthazar228. Boom. Dallas. I think this is Balthazar228 all over.
Yeah, they spelled like Peter Dow.
Peter Dow. Elders Graham and Ron. Thank you so Thank you so much.
Do you make up a name in real time on the stream?
I think that's what she does on stream.
Okay,
yeah.
All right, that's fun.
Not voting. Thank you so much, Marcia Smith. Hope you're feeling better. You and your Johnson. Thank you so much.
That was a fun little sequence there. Marcia Smith, hope you're feeling better. You and your Johnson. Smooth, buddy.
I'm building a community,
right,
of Marcia Smith and her Johnson.
Right.
So thank you so much. Nazis This Coming. Thank you. Ask Your Graham Elwood. Thank you so much for supporting the show, you guys. Love doing this. And it's been fantastic.
See you tonight, San Francisco. We got a drive to start.
Yeah, we got to go to San Fran. So you guys are awesome. Again, anyone who came out to Sacramento last night, sold out show. So great. So great meeting some of you in person. Some of you drove like 3 hours from Visalia or whatever, which is so cool. So we really appreciate it. And it's great to have Ron on the first ever Super Chat. Knuckles,
yeah,
buddy.
Dude,
Come
this
on.
is fun.
This is like
this is a blast.
Oh, this is what going to a live hurling game is like. You know what I mean? It's so fantastic. So, all right, guys, thank you so much. Thank you for being involved. You're all political vigilantes. And remember, make Gotham great again. There's my finger telling you what to do and my knuckles that have not been shaved. Boom.
That was fun, man.
Dude.
That was fun. All right, we gotta get packed up and get going.
Let me
play. Did you send me that address?
No. I'll send you that right now.